Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we've got an exciting new podcast we're going to be talking about with our esteemed alumni, Rebecca Beer and Stevie Lowe. So thank you both so much for joining us today and tell us what this is going to be about.
Thanks, Callum. We're happy to be here. Astrology Good is a two-section podcast that Rebecca and I are putting together. And I'm Stevie. I'm a Kepler alum as well as a part-time faculty member, teacher assistant for the fundamentals program, and moving on to other classes in the future. Astrology Good podcast is really about answering individual questions that you may have about your own chart or experiences and topics in your life relating to your natal chart. So we really want to hear about your biggest questions and come to the answers with you.
That's so exciting. And Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us, Callum. I am also a Kepler alum and have served as a TA in 103. That's the fundamentals, and 104, the chart synthesis class. And yeah, the Astrology Good is those moments that happen in life where you want to pull up a chart in your phone and see what the stars have to say about what is happening at that moment.
Absolutely wonderful. And this is akin, right, to Dear Abby. Dear Abby was when people either wrote in or called in. Is that kind of the deal with this as well?
Yeah, that's wrote in like an advice column. Yep. Except Stevie and I are going to be looking at the stars for advice.
Absolutely wonderful. And you can see on the screen, we've got a phone number that you can call into. So how is this going to work? So people are going to phone into you, are they going to leave a message, and then you're going to pick out certain questions relating to natal charts? Is this how this works?
Yep. We're going to have a number and also our email. We're going to take calls, and we're actually going to use the voice recording to put on the podcast. So we're going to contact you if we accept your challenge, and we're going to show your natal chart anonymously with the voice recording message and hopefully get to the bottom of whatever your concerns are.
Absolutely wonderful. It sounds like so much fun. So everybody watching, you can see on the screen here both the email and the number that you can call in with your questions. Now, when does this begin and how often are you guys going to be doing this?
Yep. So with the number also, you can call and leave an Astrologer Good situation where you leave a timestamp and something that happened, and we'll throw up the chart for that as well. It's going to start out slow because Rebecca and I have our hands in many pots of honey, especially for Kepler. So we're going to looking at once a month to start with. And if we get traction, we'll probably increase.
Absolutely wonderful. And actually, we're going to share some chart examples today of Astrology Good. So let's dive in. What do you guys want to show today?
Okay, so Astrologer Good, when the astrology of a given moment is quintessentially demonstrative. So it's just when you're like, what is this chart? And then you can see, oh my gosh, it's so blatantly astrology. So I'm starting with when I saw a hawk at my son's school. So during this time period, I was working on a presentation about the Greek god Ares, which is the Roman god Mars. And Mars is associated with a lot of carnivorous birds. There are some associations with hawks and the sun as well. So we don't want to discount the sun here, but obviously domiciled Mars so close to the midheaven was a great omen for, things are going to be picking up this summer. This was probably the last week of school. So it was very much a busy summer ahead omen.
I love that. And the strength of that Mars and so close flying to the midheaven. It's like, here I am, I'm visible above the horizon. I love this example.
And then we have Venus ruling the third of, lower education, driving around town. I was dropping my son off at school. Venus is with Jupiter and with the sun. So we have, sun ruling the ascendant. We have all the players here of, what a unique, we were running late that day too. So I thought it was a little more poignant that the bird was out.
Wonderful. I love it with a mutable air there. I love the two benefics together, even though Venus is separating, but this is a great example.
One for Rebecca.
So this is an example of this took place around 2020. So it was right after were starting to come out of COVID quarantine regulations, and I wanted to go for a walk with my friend. It was a birthday visit for me, actually. So you can actually see my friend, who actually is a Gemini, has a Gemini moon in my fourth house. And she also has a Venus in Virgo, and that would be in the seventh house of partnerships. But she came over to my house, and we're both astrologers. So we're looking at what's going to happen next in the sky. We're worried about like the Uranus Mercury opposition there. And what it ended up being is Uranus and Taurus. We're on a walk in the neighborhood, which is a third house thing. And a tree had fallen down and disconnected the power in that neighborhood. And I find that one also really interesting because this was a time when we were having like a lot of protests in the United States for Black Lives Matter. And it was after George Floyd's death. So you can see, and this is also, there were a lot of protests about, I'm not wearing a mask, I am wearing a mask. And you can see that up in the 11th house with the Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. But in our case, the Pluto also was just the fallen tree. That would be Pluto square to Mars. And then you have the first responders, the fire department right there as Mars and Aries coming to save the day.
Wow, what an incredible chart. I don't miss that Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter knocking around back in those days, but that Mercury and Uranus, we've got the mutually applying by what, about 35 minutes, and with that Uranus retrograde as well, so mutually applying. Wow. No one was injured, I hope, with the
No one was injured. No one was injured. And also, because it was my birthday, I want to add that I did get a book on herbal alchemy from her, which would also be like a Venus and Virgo, the perfect Venus and Virgo gift. So
that's amazing.
Right. So this one, I looked up an email I received because I really wanted to know. I received an email, an apology email from a friend, and I looked up the timestamp for when it was sent because the email was so graceful and genuine, and just amends were made from this dialogue reaching out. So this is the chart of when I got one of the best apology letters that I've gotten. And that it was a bridging to a friendship that had really suffered a lot of turmoil. Yeah, so we see it was sent during the Venus Cazimi, Venus domicile Cazimi. So that was really beautiful to see as well.
That's a wonderful connection. Now, here's the argument. I give up towards a minute for Cazimi. I know traditionally, maybe, what was it, 17 minutes of arc?
17.
Yeah.
What do you guys go with, or what have you seen in your experience?
I go with 17, but in this case, the Venus is in its chariot because it's in rulership. So it's not under pressure from the sun, right? Normally, the power of the Venus would be depleted, but since it's in good condition.
Yeah, and I think I also am seeing it as the approaching aspect versus the separating. So it's almost like I looked at it as it was approaching the Cazimi. It was like heading towards that moment of kind of purity rather than waiting away from it.
That's absolutely wonderful. It's interesting. I see that Sun Pluto connection. That's quite interesting. But overall, a lovely feel. And you said this was an apology letter to you, Stevie?
Yeah, it was definitely the person had undergone a huge transformation, and very much kind of signified by the Saturn in Aquarius, someone who's really gotten a lot of closure on things. And yeah, it was professionally done.
I really like the way the moon is carrying the energy from that Mars in Gemini in the 11th house of friends over to the sun.
Yeah, that's beautiful too. That is beautiful. Definitely mending rather than breaking apart.
Absolutely wonderful connections. Fantastic.
Yeah. So these are just a few little instances. Oh, and this is a place where me and my friend actually went many months later, maybe even a year after the amends were made. So we got to go to a beautiful spring together.
So to reiterate for everybody watching, tell us again how they can contact you. I'm going to put for everybody watching the links both in the description and the comment boxes below this video. And did you mention when? It's once a month, but did you say when it's going to be enacted?
Yeah, so we're making this video right now because we want anyone who wants to participate in this project with us to contact us via voice message. We would love to play your messages, answer your questions. What we want to do for the next little few weeks or a month is to collect stories and collect questions. So you won't be seeing the podcast come out probably until heading towards winter, definitely after fall. And in the meantime, call us and leave a message. We'll contact you back and set up the chart exchange and everything like that.
Yeah. And again, we're looking for your astrology good moments. And we're also looking for questions that you might have about why things are happening in your life.
Yep.
Fantastic. This is such a brilliant idea. I might just call in anonymously myself
Yeah, do it.
or get someone else to. But what a brilliant idea for people to call in any questions that you might have. And of course, if you give permission for that to be used in recordings, I think this is such a wonderful idea. So thank you both so much for putting this together. And of course, for everybody watching, go and see the links below the videos in the description. So Stevie, Rebecca, thank you so much. And I'm very excited for this new endeavor with this podcast.
Thanks, Cal.
Thanks for having us, Cal.
Wonderful. Thank you all for watching. See you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.